Party of Canada doesn't recognize you as a media source.
Email last night from the Liberal Party that showed that you are for open and transparency, and you actually, the wording in there was that you facilitate media coverage, so you're not allowing us as independent journalists into this event?
You're not invited to this event. I'm sorry.
And the event, was it an invite-only event?
This is an event that you're not invited to.
Minister Anand, I have a question for you. The Liberals are campaigning on openness and transparency, and I face barriers to get here as a woman trying to work. Will you give me 5 minutes of your time? I'm Tamara Ugolini with Rebel News, and earlier today I was physically prevented from attending a schmoozy cocktail lunch with a Liberal cabinet minister priced at $500 a ticket because I'm not affiliated with state-funded media. This obvious campaign stop, or rather fundraising event, was taking place at the Mill Restaurant and Pub in Cobourg, Ontario. It featured recently elected Liberal MP Alison Lester and Minister of Public Services and Procurement Anita Anand. See, I had received an email informing me of this event. At the bottom of it, it outlined how committed the Liberal Party is to openness and transparency at their fundraising events, including, apparently, facilitating media coverage. That's right, they don't just welcome it, they actually facilitate it, or so they allege. Because I responded to the media contact asking where at the Mill the event would take place in terms of whether it would be hosted indoors or outdoors, and at the same time I asked for any other relevant media information. But I didn't think anything of them not responding, and so when I arrived early to the luncheon, I went to the entrance of the event where I was met by Liberal campaign gatekeeper Ben Smith.
Party of Canada doesn't recognize you as a media source.
I received the email last night from the Liberal Party that showed that you are for open and transparency, and you actually, the wording in there was that you facilitate media coverage, so you're not allowing us as independent journalists into this event?
You're not invited to this event. I'm sorry.
And the event, was it an invite-only event?
This is an event that you're not invited to.
And why is that?
I was told you're not invited.
Okay, I'm a local resident here in Northumberland County. I'm also an independent journalist. These are public servants. The Liberal Party stands for openness and transparency. Is that correct?
I was told you're not invited to this event. Sure, yeah. I'll just ask you to wait here. I can make sure I can get the proprietor here who can maybe have a chat with you.
Who's the proprietor?
Her name's Amelia.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I want to speak to someone from the candidacy who's saying that we're not allowed at the event.
I see.
Is there someone else that I can speak to about that?
I'm sure there is. Would you mind just stepping aside for a moment? I think these folks are trying to get into the event.
Absolutely.
Thank you
Best
so
of luck.
She's trying to get into the event.
Thank you. Yes, I'm a journalist, and the Liberal Party stands for openness and transparency. Their email that I received that highlighted this event said that you facilitate media coverage. I have the email. I can show you the screenshot. Why am I not being allowed in?
I've been told that the Rebel News is not allowed in because you associate with alt-right and far-right groups.
Okay, so what does that mean? I mean, I don't know if you've seen any of my recent reports, but I would like to ask Minister Anand some very relevant questions.
Carolyn Knowles and Martin Partridge.
Okay, thank you very much.
You don't attend.
Well, we'll see how this goes.
And Knowles. Okay, great. And have either of you experienced symptoms of COVID-19 in the last little while? No? And you haven't been told to self-isolate or anything, I'm assuming? No, great. Okay, so it's done the screening.
Double.
Awesome. So we'll just ask that when possible, I mean, you can socially distance, you can leave your masks off, but if you're commingling and getting a bit closer than, a certain distance, keep your mask on, obviously. And I'm sure it's just common sense and you'll figure it out. But welcome to the event and thank you very much.
Nice to see you.
I'm Ben.
Hey, Ben.
Yeah, so go right ahead. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's a great question, actually. Yes. What is your name?
Ben
Ben
Smith.
Ben Smith. Now, if you're not facilitating media coverage, then what is this event about?
If you were with Global or if you were with CTV, I'm sure it would be fine. But the Rebel media is different from what I've been told.
I am a registered journalist with the Independent Press Gallery of Canada. Why are you not allowing me into this event?
I think we've been over it.
Okay, but this isn't a good justification that if I was with Global or CTV or CBC, so if I'm with state-funded media, I'm allowed to cover the event. Otherwise, you're creating a barrier for me to ask our elected officials very relevant, pertinent questions?
Look, I'm just trying to de-escalate this. I know your goals. I know you want to go in. Unfortunately, this is an event that you're not welcome at. Rebel Media is not welcome at this event. You associate with far-right and alt-right groups.
That has nothing to do with the questions I'm going to ask Minister Anand. And if you actually are for openness and transparency, then you will allow me in to ask these questions.
I think we're just going to go around in a circle here. I mean, I can keep saying it if you want.
That we're not CBC or CTV?
No, that you're not welcome to this event because you're with Rebel Media.
Because we're not CBC or CTV.
Because you're with Rebel Media.
And so if I was an independent journalist in the riding of Northumberland County, which is kind of a double whammy here for me because I'm personally vested in some of the things that will be discussed at an event like this, then how would that look for me if I wasn't associated with Rebel News? I'm not here to be violent or cause ruckus. I'm here to ask at least one question of Minister Anand that is very relevant to the current landscape, political landscape in Canada. And for some reason, Ben, here, you're not allowing me to do this.
You're not welcome at this event. You're with Rebel Media.
Did you hear that? After being prevented from covering this event, Catherine Krasnowski and I waited outside in hopes of catching Minister Anand to get just one question answered. During that time, I saw past MP for the riding of Northumberland Peterborough South, Kim Rudd, and I approached her in hopes of getting clarification on this openness and transparency claim that doesn't seem to be actually upheld by the Liberal Party. Check out how that went. Hi, Kim Rudd. I'm Tamara Ugolini with Rebel News. They're not letting us access into this event today. What do you make of that?
Rebel Media is not a regulate, how do I say, sorry, I'm having chemo brain at the moment.
Sorry to hear that.
No, they're not a recognized news outlet. Too many right-wing folks that are your supporters and followers. And I noticed today that Elections Canada just fined you for illegal work during the 2019 election, both putting out signs and advertising. So there's no credibility here. So you're welcome to stand outside.
Thank you. That's what we're doing. But I did notice that the platform for you is openness and transparency. And the email that I received was that you are facilitating media coverage today. How does this interact?
Recognized media. Absolutely.
There is no recognized media in Canada, and I am a journalist with the Independent Press Gallery of Canada. I'm also a local resident here, and I would like to ask a few questions of our elected officials. I am not here to be an alt-right aggressor. I am here to ask a few questions of our elected officials, and I'm being prevented from doing so.
Notice this, but I'm not an elected official.
You were, though, and I'm sure that you have some strings to pull in here to get us in, because I would like to ask just one question of Minister Anand.
My friend, I am on my way to Princess Margaret in about 10 minutes. I have no strings to pull. I'm just coming to make sure that the food and everything is organized. So I wish you well, Tamara. I know your mom. I know your family. I wish you all well, but today is not a day for me to be giving you an interview.
Absolutely. Could you facilitate one question with Minister Anand? And I'm sorry to hear about your poor health. All the best, Kim. Okay, so I still had just one question I wanted to point to Minister Anand, but we had been outside in the heat for nearly an hour waiting for Her Highness to arrive. The event was only 1.5 hours long. Was Minister Anand trying to wait us out in hopes to evade one prickly question? When is she going to be? It's only till 1:30. Surely all of these people paying $500 for an hour-and-a-half event weren't impressed with this way beyond fashionably late minister. And while Catherine and I had time to kill, I looked up Anand's platform from her Twitter bio. See, Anand and the Liberals are literally campaigning on affordable childcare and addressing the barriers that mothers and women face to increase their participation in the workforce. Well, great, I thought. That's me. I have a 5-month-old nursling at home and other children who need care when I go out into the field to do reports such as these, which, by the way, you can support our on-the-ground investigative journalism at rebelfieldreports.com, because as you can see, it's not always easy bringing you the other side of the story. Anyway, Just then, fashionably late by an hour and exiting out of a black Cadillac with heavily tinted windows, finally arrived Minister Anand. Her driver tried to peel in and she made a run for the event entrance, all to evade me, a tiny journalist who might ask her a tough question. Here's how that went. Minister Anand, I have a question for you. The Liberals are campaigning on openness and transparency, and I face barriers to get here as a woman trying to work. Will you give me 5 minutes of your time? I knew I wouldn't get my other 3 questions, but I thought I might catch her on that woman in workforce angle. Alas, apparently Minister Anand cares about women at work, openness and transparency in script only. She literally skirted media after sending out an email that said they facilitate media coverage. This is the current state of elected officials in Canada. The minister responsible for the lack of PPE, lack of rapid tests, and lack of vaccine procurement, showing up an hour late to her own event and premeditating just how to evade a journalist with a prickly question. For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini. Here at Rebel News, we are real reporters. According to the Liberal campaign gatekeeper, I would have been allowed to cover this cocktail lunch if I was affiliated with Global News or CTV. According to the Trudeau Liberals, only state-funded media is allowed to cover their events because they know they'll be obedient and not ask the tough questions that question political integrity. To support these journalistic efforts, especially as we move toward campaign coverage for a snap election, head over to realreporters.ca to see just how we're using our donor funding to ensure that you always get the other side of the story and that we can follow the facts wherever they may lead. That's realreporters.ca.